I'm here to talk to you about starting up, the Nigerian STARTUP ACT, and what I think you guys should know. How many of you have heard about the STARTUP ACT? Prior to the enactment of the STARTUP ACT, what you previously had, people just deciding to build innovative products and then looking for what registration fits them, what platform they need, what process they need. There was no structure, no system in place, no support even for entrepreneurs or startups, right? So you just run your thing, and if you blow, you blow. If you don't blow, on to the next thing until you blow. We're going to try, right? So that has been the trajectory. But then, you know what the new oil is? Data. Who are the miners of the new oil? Startups, entrepreneurs, the tech ecosystem, right? Because oil is going to dry up very soon. But something that will not dry up are numbers. Do you know we've hit 230 million population? 230 million people are consuming, creating data. That is billions of dollars revenue. So even if oil dries up, you will always have human beings who create innovative solutions to life, because as long as we are living, we are going to need stuff. We are going to need to be in existence. So you have this crop of innovative products, innovative entrepreneurs providing so much value without getting some measure of support from the state. You've heard about Remitter, right? Single payment accounts. You've heard about Paystack, Flutterwave. These were startups, and I think even Flutterwave is still within the startup timeline, right? Startups, but startups that provided revolutionized products. All of us ride an Uber. Uber was a startup at the time, and it started with someone identifying a problem, finding a solution, and making profit. And that's what entrepreneurship is all about. You identify a problem, you provide a solution, and you make profits. Entrepreneurship is not a non-governmental organization. You've got to make profit, right? But the initial years are difficult. And that is why you need an enabling law that will help give you some semblance of support. So I have said this to just give you a prelude to why we have the Nigerian STARTUP ACT. The Nigerian STARTUP ACT, if you watch the teaser, is the law made for you by you. So what happened? Ecosystem partners came together to say, look, we need some level of support from the state. We need some level of guidance. We need some level of enablement. And government said, okay, what do you need? Let's come together. Let's make a law that will now enable you. So the STARTUP ACT is not a regulation. In the strict sense of the word, it's not even it's only a law to the extent that it's to your benefit. The STARTUP ACT is a supporting document that supports you so far as you meet the criteria. So what is a startup? And that's the starting point of this conversation. Starting point where I don't do like 10 minutes. What is a startup? A startup means a company that is just starting. Let me tell you one thing that helped me throughout my days in school until today. Even in postgraduate exams, certifications, it helps me. Always give literal interpretation to things. Literal. Start up. The only new thing that I'm going to be telling you about that definition is that the agreeable definition of startups includes businesses starting up that are leveraging on technology and providing innovative, growth-based services. So when you say you are a startup, your business has to be leveraging on technology. It has to be a technology-driven business. Startups largely refer to tech-driven businesses. But in different forums, I have argued to say, look, there's no business today that's not leveraging on technology. A woman in my estate has WhatsApp. The day she fries nice akara, she will post it on her status. That's technology. You are leveraging on technology. You are disseminating. The tomato seller, the day she buys baskets of tomato, people now order things, the most mundane things, online. So, we say people from a part of this country, we refer to them as in a particular word, and they are used to selling, suya, right? And then you think, oh, today, people order suya from these same people, leveraging on technology. I was shocked. I went to buy suya, and what happened? They were doing video call. That's technology, and it's providing service, and then you pay him via transfer. So I have argued at different forums to say, look, it's actually not possible anymore to do any business without leveraging on technology, and that's why there is a smooth transition, and that we're working on that to really put everybody under that startup space. Because right now you have a dichotomy between startups and entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs, everyone can be an entrepreneur, but not every entrepreneur can be a startup owner. So that's what you need to know. So leverage on technology. And I'm going to tell you, if you're going to start any business and you're not leveraging on technology, you're not serious. I'm sorry, I'm blunt. You're not serious. You're a joker. In this century, the world has gone beyond analog. Everything is digitalized. And even as backward as we may think we are, we have gone far. Lagos State, for instance, is starting Blue Rail. Right? So technology is taking over the entire world. A couple of years ago, you go to the bank, you queue, you collect 50,000, 100,000, you put in your pocket and you spend. I can go 3 months without touching naira. But there's no day I don't spend money. It wasn't always like this. Today you pay bills with USSD, apps, and all that. Even in advanced countries, they no longer have ATM cards into the POS machines. You just tap it. It deducts. In fact, now, they've gone beyond ATM cards. They now have what you have dome stickers on their phone. And so all you do, you take the back of your phone, tap, and that's it. You're billed. You move on. Guess what? They are going the Antichrist way. Some of you guys will say, they now have chips, right? So all you need to do, your thumbprint, you say the word, the deductions go. That's how far technology is going. And guess what? Technology is a train. It will come to you. If you don't enter, it will crush you. Now, we've talked about what a startup means. The next most important thing, and you see, so what happened was ecosystem players came. I'm not in government, right? But I was at forefront of the project from the drafting, policy drafting, defense, enactment stage. Now we are engaging state governments to adopt the bill. And the next phase also is implementation. We've started ideation. We've started implementing a couple of things, putting things in place, right? Private sector player. Why? Because I represent tons of startups and I know what their challenges are. And so in drafting the policy and coming up with the bill, I was able to say, look, these are the challenges that my startups have. The people actually in the startup ecosystem who are doing the work came up with their own challenges. And so all these things were looked at to create an act that will provide solutions to them. One of the most important problems startups face are regulation. So you have what you call fragmented regulations. You don't know. So you come up with a startup, you really don't know where to go to decide to get your licensing. You don't know, if your business is even regulated. You don't know who is in charge of regulating you, what the issues are. The Act comes to resolve all those issues. So first of all, what the Act will do for you is to label you. So the Act provides for labeling. And what does that mean? It's just a title that you get if you meet the criteria. And what's the criteria to be labeled, to be a labeled startup? You're running a business within 0 to 1 year, 0 to 10 years. So if your business is older than 10 years, you are no longer a startup. You are now alagbalagba. And if you are not doing well, you are alagbalagba that. You know, but really, startup between 0 to 10 years, right? A company between 0 to 10 years. And that's quite good, right? Between 0 to 10 years, running an innovative driven business. A business that has to do with technology, innovation, growth, and development, right? So, and also, it must also have 1/3 Nigerian ownership. Owned by, you know, have 1/3 ownership by Nigerians. If you meet this criteria, you apply and you get labeled. Once you are labeled, you become Omo Nigeria. Because as a labeled startup, you now access so many innovative solutions. Now, there are benefits, fiscal benefits, training benefits, networking benefits, funding. So for the first time, the Act provides for an actual fund that the government is obligated, emphasis on the word, obligated to provide 10 billion seed fund that's going to be managed by the Nigerian Sovereign Wealth Authority to help fund and provide support for startups. So government is going to be giving seed fund, and the difference is that previously what you had were executive orders, or you know, the governor likes the face, or the president likes the face of entrepreneurs. He provides something, you know, another government comes in and says, no, I don't. What are these ones doing? But now it's now a law, which means that if it is not done, you as a startup can go to court and get them to do it. The court can compel government to release that fund. So for the first time, government has brought a law that is going to be committed to providing funding for startups. Because one of the most important problems startups have, apart from fragmented regulations, is funding. Where do you access funding? How do people support your business? How do you scale? You have an innovative product. If you don't get a venture capitalist or an angel investor, you're screwed. If you get labeled, there's funding that you can access once you meet the criteria, right? And then my baby in the whole thing, the startup portal. The startup portal is a game changer, one size fits all, a watershed provider where all startups can go to get all the regulatory support that they need. So I want to register, I go there to register. I want to get my licensing, I go to the portal to get my licensing. I want to troubleshoot. I want to file my annual returns in CAC. I file it through the portal, right? I want to get letter of good standing. You know, for those of you that are jackpotting, you know you are going to sleep. You know, everything, you go there. I want to trademark my brand. You go to the portal to trademark your brand. So the truth is, you no longer need to go all around. All you need to do is access a portal and gain all the regulatory licensing and approvals you need. Never seen before. For the first time. Right? That's the portal. Now, another very important thing which you must know as startups is your intellectual property. Your intellectual property, you see, the mistake we make is that after registration, you oftentimes don't take your intellectual property seriously. Do you know that Apple brand, Apple, how many of us use Apple phones? You're using an Apple phone, let me know. And no one is using Apple here. Only you, the guy who didn't know about startup. Anyway, the brand Apple is worth more. Is worth $460 billion. The Apple brand. Apple. That's not what Apple is worth. What Apple's intellectual property, Apple logo, is worth $460 billion. One of the things that you must have at the back of your mind is that as a startup, you are building innovative products. You must also protect these products by ensuring that you get the adequate intellectual property protection. Company registration does not cut it. Company registration does not provide intellectual property protection. It only gives you legal personality. What will give you protection for 8th gear, for instance, is that 8th gear is trademarked. Because if I go and I brand my product as 8th gear and I publish it, and you come to me with your certificate of incorporation, it ain't gonna work. But if you come to me with a trademark certificate that this is my registered trademark, I'm screwed. Because you go hold me for better money. You get it? That's one of the things that the Startup Act is looking at. Ensuring that startups maximize the benefits of their intellectual property and intellectual portfolio. So adequate commercialization and monetization of your intellectual property right is one of the most important things that the startup is going to provide. I've said 3 most important things now, right? Crowdfunding. Except you have somebody that's storing money in bags somewhere, like we've seen on social media, right? You're going to need money. And oftentimes, it's not going to come from one person. Sometimes, some of us don't even have the benefit of angel investors. The implication of this is that you're going to need little drops of water to make your own mighty ocean. Previously, a lot of startups were inhibited and crowdfunding was not properly structured or even allowed. Now, the Startup Act actually provides for crowdfunding for startups. Because I have to leverage on crowdfunding to get access funding. And this will help scale growth. Because when you're able to get small, and you're accountable. Now, it doesn't also mean that the act is just going to allow you a full soup, just give you everything you want without holding you. You're also going to be accountable. You're also going to be, delivering your annual reports to show what you're doing, right? If government gives you funding, you have to be accountable. One of the biggest problems we have with young people and entrepreneurs is that they do not like accountability. You are innovative, you think out of the box, you've got energy, but you are lazy and don't like to be accountable. I'm sorry. Now, one of the biggest issues that we're beginning to see with startups is that many of them are failing. Yeah. But they're not failing because they don't have innovative, marketable products. They are failing because of these other extraneous issues. Structure defects. Imagine running your startup on a business name that should have been a limited liability company. Corporate governance issues, indiscipline, and fiscal recklessness. So while government and while the law is going to provide an enabling environment for you, you also have to create that level of discipline for yourself. Right? I removed my glass because I can't really see your faces. So when I was yabbing you, I was not seeing your face. Now I'm running back. I've finished. I can see your face. Right? So these are some of the things that should interest you about the Startup Act because it gives you a window to fly. Now, other countries, Tunisia, Senegal in Africa have Startup Acts. And Tunisia, for instance, had a $500 million boost in their economy the first 2 years after the Startup Act was the Tunisian Startup Act. Because what it did, imagine what you can achieve when you no longer have issues with your CBN licensing if you are a fintech startup. You can get your licensing one go, you have troubleshooting issues, you get them sorted out, and then you can run because we have numbers, we have human beings who want this product. So, if these things are put in place, not only will your business grow, but you'll find that what is even more, you'll be able to improve the economy. And then when I said data was the new oil, this was what I meant. Startups are the oil companies of the future. Because you are the ones that are going to be mining and refining the new oil, which is data, and converting it to resources, wealth. And you're lucky that you're going to be one of the first set of people to harvest the benefits of the Startup Act. Right? Now, there's also going to be a credit guarantee scheme. So government may not give you money. You may have investors who want to give you money, but they need a guarantee. Part of the reason why many startups don't get to the aspire to perspire stage that she was trying to give us, is that they don't get the necessary support they need at the onset. Those basic things, you'll be shocked that a simple guarantee from your state will make someone comfortable to invest 50 million in your business that you can turn over in 2 years to be 500 million. You'll be shocked. But prior to the enactment of the Startup Act, most startups have been in that stage. Like a portable, God I beg, now who will help? That's just been where they've been stuck in all this while. But with a credit guarantee scheme in place, all you need to do is understand your documentation and get it right. I'm going to advise you, go to the Startup Act. I'm going to share a copy of the gazetted version with Dami, and you should circulate it. Read it, especially section 13 that talks about labeled startup, right? So that you look at your business and tailor it. You meet the criteria for labeling. And so once the process starts, 8 gear, my people, so I'll let you know, right? Apply to be labeled. Meet the threshold, you get labeled. And when you get labeled, you begin to get the benefits of labeling, right? So there are some tax incentives. One of the things that you benefit is that even as a labeled startup, those who are investing in you, foreign investors, will get some level of 30% rebates on taxes just because they are investing in a labeled startup. So it makes you a beautiful bride. And it puts you in a place where, people are happy to give you, right? There are also income tax. Already, the Finance Act already provides some measure of tax rebates for small businesses. You are not obligated to pay tax if your turnover is less than 25 million. You pay a particular fraction if it's between 30 million and 100 million. And then if it's above 100 million, you go pay, forget that thing. You don't pay, you guys pay, right? But that incentive, what the Act is going to do is to try to contextualize the benefits and bring it a bit closer home so that you really feel the impact of these benefits, right? Another thing that we're also doing at the Startup Act project is to even get all the states in Nigeria to adopt the Act, either through enacting state laws or giving executive orders. Because guess what? Startups live in the states. The Act is a federal law. But there are many benefits that you can also get in your own states. Lagos State is in full swing with the Act, right? They have come up with their law. In fact, already Lagos State has an Innovation and Research Council that funds startups. They are building their own Silicon Valley somewhere in Yaba that's going to be, a hub, right? So once we get the states to come on board, you'll not just get the benefits at the federal level, you'll also feel the impact at the state levels, right? And it will help you, get that. People sometimes ask, is it just startups, labeled startups that will benefit from the Startup Act? No. So the Act provides for the creation of 36 or 37 accelerator and incubator hubs in every state in Nigeria, where entrepreneurs can access digital innovative support services to scale their businesses. And you don't need to be labeled to access these products. So you're going to have a partnership also with the university, Nigerian University Commission, to train students in the university and help them understand, build, and curate innovative products and stuff. So, all in all, last, if you don't want to chop breakfast, understand this act, latch onto it, and it's going to benefit your business. Did that make sense?